Parliament has essentially been suspended for yet another year. Or that we are pursuing an energy policy generated by low-resolution thinking, addled ideologues that will not only impoverish our populace by making energy unreasonably expensive. Have you noticed, Canadians, when you fill up your unnecessary vehicles at the pump? But that will only increase the probability that countries such as China will have to rely on coal to produce electricity instead of accessing, say, our plentiful natural gas. And that will therefore make the carbon dioxide burden borne by the atmosphere greater instead of lesser. And just last week, and in the aftermath of the Dutch farmer protests, that we are trying to reduce the absolute levels of the greenhouse gas nitrous oxide produced by those who grow our crops. That's food, folks. Regardless of the amount of those crops produced in consequence. And we're doing that by threat and force, instead of working with the farmers to find mutually acceptable and truly sustainable economic and environmental solutions. And that we're pursuing these policies in a world where starvation in the near future in many countries is not only a likelihood, but a virtual certainty. Or the incomprehensible insistence by Jagmeet Singh, sworn enemy of the real working man, that the proper role of the socialist NDP is to indefinitely prop up Trudeau's government, despite the fact that there seems to be nothing in it at all for Singh's party. Not even the cabinet position that a competent negotiator could have at least requested as compensation for the sacrifice of his soul. Or the fact that our judiciary must now be staffed by people who must, or else, swear fealty to the DIE ideology that has devastated universities and is now working its way through many blind and careless corporations. That we are, in consequence, producing and permanently instantiating a generation of activist judges who regard as their role not the responsibility of abiding carefully by rule of law and precedent, but usurping what should be legislative action so that they can improve the world more efficiently than mere parliament, with its lack of Chinese Communist Party efficiency, might manage. Or the fact that the OECD has predicted that Canada will have the worst growth prospects of the major industrial societies for the next 4 decades. The worst? And for 4 decades? I believe that the federal Liberals have run the most incompetent administration in Canadian history. That they have not yet done all the terrible damage that they are going to do. That Canadians will not wake to the reality of the situation, because an awakening at that level requires a level of conceptual restructuring and consequent emotional trauma that we have never been called on before to manifest. And that Trudeau's idiosyncratic combination of willfully blind ignorance, moral pretension, and narcissistic self-aggrandizement is so toxic that it borders on, if does not cross the line, into outright treason. And the situation with Singh might, if anything, be worse. He is as dangerously incompetent and immaturely narcissistic as Trudeau, without even being simultaneously canny enough to capitalize personally or professionally on his delusional pretensions. Trudeau's government has been racked by scandals. each one severe enough to justify the dissolution of Parliament under normal conditions, so numerous that it is almost impossible to recover from the shock of the presently revealed misbehavior quick enough